Okay, wait, it's happening. Okay. Hi, friends. Welcome to your new favorite podcast, The FriendZone. I am your host, Symonne Harrison, and welcome to the first episode of this incredible new journey. I'm really giddy, even though this is like one of the last episodes I'm actually filming of this. It feels like we just started, and I'm really excited. So, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for everyone listening, watching, and being a part of this project. This project has been something so new and exciting for me over the last 6 months. Honestly, I've been planning it, coming up with names, the concept of everything, and the fact that I'm sitting here filming basically, well, it's my first episode, but when I'm filming this, it's like my last episode. It's kind of full circle and very bittersweet. So for those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm Symonne Harrison. I am 18 years old. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I moved to Los Angeles when I was 11 years old with my parents, and I had a dream to I didn't know what I wanted to do, if I'm being completely honest. I just loved performing. I loved being on stage. The second the camera went on, I just had the biggest smile on my face. So I knew I wanted to do something in the realm, but I wasn't really sure what that was yet. I started dancing at the age of 2. I was on 10 different competitive teams over the course of 9 years, which was so amazing. I love dancing so much. It was my first ever love. It was my first passion. Around the age of 10, I really wanted to try modeling. So I got signed to an agency in Columbus, Ohio. And I just did print and learned how to pose and, all that stuff. Also, more lore, I did pageants for a couple years. I was Little Miss North Royalton, which is the city I grew up in, and Miss Preteen Ohio. I actually competed to be Little Miss America. I think that's what it was. It was in Florida. It was national competition. And, I do not get stage fright or anything. And then I was on there and I just forgot where I was and missed all my beats on stage. My whole family flew in to go to Florida and I had all my friends flying. It was the biggest moment ever. And I botched it. I completely failed, and I was so disappointed and frustrated in myself because nothing like that has ever happened before. It was just one of those moments where I just blinked, and now looking back 8 years later, I can definitely say it happened for a reason, even though I was really disappointed in myself, because if I were to win that, I would be in this contract where I'd be touring. I wouldn't have been able to move to LA the next year and kind of pursue what I wanted to do. So if life went differently, you might never even be watching this, honestly. I got signed to this modeling agency, and they asked me if I wanted to do an audition. Eventually, a year later, I moved to LA. I was on a Showtime show called The Affair. It was really fun. It was one of those moments where I filmed and I was so excited, and then they put one scene of me in there and cut my stunt that I trained for. But it's fine. I still love you. So after that, I was in LA in an apartment, tiny apartment with both my parents, and they left everything back home to kind of start over and start this new life with me. As an 11-year-old who had a dream, which I'm so thankful for. It's still a little crazy to say, they're trusting an 11-year-old to basically switch up their whole life. But my whole family that's still back home, my grandparents, my aunt, and my cousins, I love you guys so much, and thank you for also being so supportive. And it's so weird because growing up, my whole family lives on the same street. They're only a couple houses apart, and now I'm in the furthest state away from Ohio. So it's definitely not we're seeing each other every single second. And sometimes I don't even get to talk to them every day. But I know that we just have this understanding where I love you, I'm busy, we're both doing our own things. But then when we come together, it's obviously back to normal. And they're my family, and I know they're always going to be there for me. It's just hard sometimes, especially with my grandparents. It's a little sad knowing I don't see them every day, but it also makes it more special. I feel like I soak it in more, and I don't take it for granted whatsoever. Anyways, done with that sob story. So it was 2020, and COVID kind of came about, and I was like, okay, I'm in this apartment with my parents. We just moved across the country. What do we do? Growing up, YouTube was kind of my TV. Don't get me wrong, I love my Nickelodeon, love my Disney Channel, but I watched YouTube a lot, and I don't remember this, but my parents were like, I wouldn't be surprised if she became a YouTuber one day. I was like so young, like how would I remember that? But they quoted it and they said that was gonna happen. And lo and behold, when I was like 11 years old, I picked up a camera and started filming. Since then, I just loved not even being in front of the camera, but being behind it as well. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I edit all my own videos. Obviously, except this project. It's a huge project, and Brendan is taking very good care of it. But I told him it was even a little scary. This is the first thing I'm really handing over to someone else. I've edited every single one of my YouTube videos, every single one of my short form videos. Every single thing has been produced by me, which I love. I'm a very analytical girly, but I also love being in front of the camera and just being me as well. I feel like playing both of those sides has really altered my perspective on, first of all, not only the amount of work that goes into creating a single piece of content, having I do both has really like changed my perspective as a creator to kind of like evolve into like an even bigger like personality. I think honestly a big part is just like branching out and starting things from scratch. I've done like little companies and businesses and stuff like that, but this year is a really big year of just like launches and new starts and new adventures. I really wanted to touch on, obviously, the title of this episode, The Guide to Starting Over. Obviously, with this project, it was a huge, basically, like restart for me in my life. If you asked me a year ago to do this, I would say absolutely not, because I was so scared to leave things that already built all the way up. And it's not only in the social media space, but it's in just like relationships and friendships and other aspects in my life. I remember like even a year ago, I was in this relationship and I purposely didn't leave because I was so scared to ask someone what's their favorite color again. It was just the scariest thing ever because I built something all the way up, and like even though it wasn't the perfect journey to get there, I still put in so much time and effort. And like if I put in this much work into something, like why would I just scratch it and start brand new? At the end of the day, looking back on that, I'm so glad that I did, and it wasn't even on purpose. It was kind of like a forced thing. To kind of like start over, which has honestly been the biggest blessing of my entire life, is starting from scratch. Starting over gives you the opportunity to really figure out like, okay, this is where I'm at in my life. This is what I like doing. This is what I don't like doing. Where do we go from here? I feel like when you've been in something for a while, you can kind of still think back to whenever that thing started. Like, that's what I like doing at the time, and you can kind of just like stay stagnant, which obviously doesn't happen all the time, but for me, it definitely was. Like, I was still stagnant in the person I was going in to the relationship or situation or friendship. I wasn't really growing and evolving with it. So kind of starting over is like a self-check, and it's like, okay, this is who I am now. This is where we're going forward. I think it's also just a part of like learning and maturing that like as I get older, it'll be easier to like still like not stay stagnant and mature and grow in situations as well. I don't think you have to start over in order to grow, but definitely for where I was in my life, it was like, okay, if you want to grow and evolve as a person, the only option is to start with a blank canvas and start over. It was with my relationship I was in, gone. Basically got a whole new friend group, kept the ones that like I've been friends with for years and years, but kind of just like switching people out because I felt like people were holding me back, or like some people reminded me of a place that I didn't really like being in my life, and it was just like a bad reminder. And it's not even anything to do with them, it's just a mental thing for me, and that's okay. Like sometimes you're not going to be friends with the person that I was friends with when I was in 3rd grade. So now starting over with this project, it kind of made me do like a check, like, okay, I'm Symonne. This is what I love currently doing. This is where I'm mentally at in my life. And what is my dream goal and how do I achieve this to get here? Which is kind of why this was born. As we're getting into this episode, I can't go without mentioning my amazing team who helped me put everything together. We have Brendan. He is honestly like a one-man show. I don't know how he's still functioning at this point. He's helping me record everything. He set up this whole studio for me. He's editing everything. He's just been more of a help than I could ever even imagine, and I'm so lucky to have him. So Brendan, say hi.
Hello.
He's definitely going to be, well, he's in every episode. We have mics for everyone behind the camera, so it's like a group hang. And then we have not only my amazing makeup artist, but creative director, Ryan. He actually decorated all these lockers with me. We spent one day just like doing everything, making the little board, and he helped me really kind of like find myself and my looks and who I am as a person. So appreciative for you as well.
Hi, it's me. I did help. I love it.
Honestly, having like mics for everyone in the room is like so fun because it just adds to the video. And obviously my parents are not in the room, but they have been so supportive since day one. Even before I was born, they were like, we're gonna love her no matter what. And I don't think they expected me to, have a set in our house, but they love it more than anything. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for everything. I love you. Also, thank you to my amazing team in management and everyone else who had hands in this project. I feel like I'm like accepting an Oscar right now on stage, but I just am so appreciative and I just want to make sure I show it enough. So that was my little thank you to everyone.
I also just want to give a shout out to Symonne herself as well. Like, I don't think anyone online realizes how hard this like 18-year-old girl works, like constantly working up all night, running around LA, doing shoots, writing things, doing meetings, XYZ. Like she is just so incredibly talented and so hardworking. And I just wanted to make sure that like the people understand how hardworking this girl is. Like she is doing everything right now.
I'm not gonna cry. You just did my makeup. That is so sweet. Honestly, like the past month has been the most intense and crazy and like mentally challenging of my entire life. But I just am so excited every day when I wake up and I always have new ideas. And even though I've like honestly barely had time to sit down and eat dinner with my family, it's been so good. And I know everything's gonna pay off, like for sure.
As you continue to challenge yourself and start over and build those new projects and things, do you think it gets easier as you do it?
I think it honestly depends on what it is. I would say now, like me a year ago, starting over is pretty easy for me now, but it also depends, like what situation are you in? How much does this thing in your life like affect you and like how much is it involved? And like I do think it's per thing, but I will say it's kind of like riding a bike. Once you've done it once, you've fallen a couple times. Every time you have to start over, you think back to all the good things that came from it and you're like, okay, even though it's scary, here's other examples in my life of when good things happen from taking the leap and starting over. I think it also like mentally challenges you to be like, how far can I push myself in a good way, like not in a bad way. But it's like, what are my limits and like, what do I need for my life right now? I think it's never too late to like start something new, if that makes sense. I know I'm only 18, but if you're watching this and you're like, I really want to get on like a fitness journey, it's never too late. Like if you start today or you start tomorrow, like it's better than not doing it at all. You're never going to get any younger, honestly. Like you're the youngest you are today. So it's like, do it now. Like, why are you waiting?
I heard this quote, which was the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. I also just love like listening to podcasts because I hear like little quotes and I'll write them down. I'm like, I'm living by that. It usually lasts for like a good week, but there's some of those that like stick with me and I'm like, this is my mantra. This is what I'm living by.
Something that I've loved about this podcast is like you mentioned, it's not like a normal podcast. It feels like a little game show, TV show, like in a podcast as well. Like if you're watching it on YouTube, it's very entertaining. We have some really fun times and fun guests coming up.
We do.
Talk about your dream. Like, I know you briefly mentioned it, but like, what is the dream?
The ultimate dream for me is to host. Well, the ultimate dream is to just make people happy in whatever I do. But then the dream right under that is to host. I just love talking to people, learning about themselves. I also take time. So, sometimes in conversations where you have little awkward moments, I just make them funny. The only thing awkward about it is that if you're making it awkward. Like no one else is thinking you're awkward except yourself. So I just love just going out and learning a lot about people and really getting to see people's personalities. Having like my own like late night show or talk show would be like, what's Dave Letterman's show? The Next Guest, or what's it called?
Oh, on Netflix?
Yes. So there's the show on Netflix called My Next Guest Doesn't Need an Introduction with Dave Letterman. Being the next, in the most normal way possible, being the next Dave Letterman, I would love to do that.
Icon.
I actually first ever watched it when Billie Eilish was a guest on it. If you haven't known by now, she is like my idol in the world, and she's my favorite artist, and I love her so much. That was the first time I watched that show, and I went back and watched almost every episode, and I was just so entertained. And a really cool thing about interviews, not on like TV, but specifically his show, is that you kind of learn a lot about someone that you thought you knew a lot about. A huge part of this is that I want to bring people on that don't have like the platform or just don't really share a lot about their life, because I feel like you can think you know someone very well just from watching them or seeing them or listening to their music. But then once you hear them be like, oh, this is my favorite color and like this is what I eat for breakfast every day, you kind of feel more connected to the person. And I share my whole life on social media, which you're gonna get even more. You're like unlocking like the next level of my life on here. But really just bringing people on to share more about themselves is a big thing for me, is like giving someone an outlet to kind of express who they are if they're not able to already. Kind of going back to everything, I wanted to film this last because I really wanted to talk about just like my experience, because I knew this episode would be good, but having experienced basically from start to almost finish, gives you a really different perspective on it than I would have had on the first day. I definitely have to say there's days where I wake up with no voice and I'm like, my voice hurts so bad, but we're gonna push through. And then there's days like this morning where I can't stop dancing and Ryan's like, Symonne, stay still, I have to do your blush. It's just really cool to see, like, honestly figure out with myself like how I act in different situations and what kind of like triggers this, what triggers that. I feel like I learned just a lot of my professional side from doing this as well. There's episodes where I was in tears. There's episodes where I'm in tears laughing. There's honestly like a wide range of things on the season, and I learned so much. There's a couple people on here that I watched growing up, which was very surreal, and I was low-key fangirling as they're sitting next to me. There's people on here that I adore so much, and just everyone in between has a very special place in my heart, and I really wanted this to be like a huge like love letter to the internet for me. I thought 2024 was gonna be like my year, and then I fell into a depression. So 2025 is my year, and you know what? I'm not letting it not be my year. So whether you like it or not, like, I'm coming, this is my year, hi, like, I'm here and I'm here to serve. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out this year, and all I ask is for you to listen and laugh and cry with me as we go throughout these episodes. And yeah, this is like my actual like little baby. We were talking about this earlier, like, what are we gonna do once this is done filming? Well, I'll give you the answer. We're gonna start filming season 2. But honestly, this whole experience of the friend zone is the most fun I think I've ever had in my entire life. I feel like sometimes being in the space for over half a decade, you kind of just get on autopilot and everything kind of feels the same after a while. And I'm genuinely like feeling everything I'm doing. I'm genuinely present in the moment. I'm genuinely experiencing everything everyone else is experiencing. And I think you'll really see that come across. Basically, I had this idea in September of 2024, and I was sitting on my friend's couch. I was with Brendan and a couple other people, and we were just coming up with something that was like really exciting for YouTube or Spotify or something. We just wanted to launch something big and new. I've always just wanted to do a podcast. That was always like in the back of my mind, but I was like, how can we make this look like a mini TV show at the same time? We're trying to come up with names and like what the theme would be, and we went through rounds and rounds and rounds of this until we came up with the perfect theme and name, which is the Friend Zone. I feel like it's so fun because I really wanted to bring on not only like people I look up to, which is also my friends. But I really wanted to make this an outlet for me and my friends just to like hang out and chat. And I wanted to make a space for everyone to feel included. And yeah. So once we came up with this idea, I really like the retro vintage vibe. My parents are always laughing because they're like, that's actually what we used growing up. But, you know, I feel like everything comes around, especially with like fashion. It's been like a really cute like throwback, especially along with the school. Like, I feel like it's old like Mean Girls or like Legally Blonde or Gossip Girl. I'm supposed to be in my college era right now, but I didn't go to college, so this is my college experience. Also for styling wise, I'm really in between like sporty girl, like jerseys, Leatherman jackets, but also like very like prim and proper, like preppy girl. Like I feel like I'm just always in between the two. So I kind of get to show off my different styles and my vibes, which I also love. Throughout the season, you're gonna see so many cool looks. We have like schoolgirl, we have edgy, we have like classy, you know, we're just going down and getting all the vibes. I feel like this has honestly just been like a really amazing experience for me to even discover like what my image or creative personality looks like. And I kind of got to play around and figure out like, oh, like, does this feel Symonne? Or like I feel more myself when I talk about this and I dress like this. So if anything, just throughout this process, I really feel like you're going to see me learn and grow a lot about myself without even realizing it. So that's why it's like a double meaning of a name. It's like the friend zone, because you're going to really get involved in my life and my friends and like who I'm surrounding myself with. But then also like friend zone, like I am the queen of friend zoning people like a little bit. And then it's always that one person that like doesn't want you that you get obsessed with, which is a different combo for a different day. But no matter what stage of your life you're in or where you live or anything, I wanted to make this a place where we can all relate and share information and talk about things we're going through, because I promise you, even if something feels so specific to you, you are not alone, and someone in this room or someone coming on the season is going through something that you are going through. I want to do this for multiple and multiple more seasons. So I'm always thinking to myself, like, damn, in like 4 years, you're probably going to look back and be like, wait, we thought that was good, and now we're like here. You know, I have my fair share of like cringy stuff on the internet. So I'm really trying to make this like, in 4 years, I'll still really like it, but it's never going to be that. You're always going to be evolving and changing, and you're always going to look back and be like, oh, like, poor baby. But this is something I'm super excited about and I love so much. Also, shout out to Ryan while we were doing our test shoot. He bedazzled my microphone, and it just makes me feel so girly and confident.
Had to have the bling for the host, you know.
Creating this project has been, honestly, like, it's changed my life, and I think it just gave me a really cool, like, creative outlet to kind of figure out, like, who I am and who I want to be, like, going forward, and what I want my life to look like in the next couple of years. I thought I was back, like, last year after going through my little episode, but I know for sure 100%, even though it took me a year, I am back and I'm fully me, which feels really nice. I feel like I've always been, like, filming with people my whole life, or hosting with other people, which, don't get me wrong, is so much fun. At the same time, I really wanted something to just be me. Like, I wanted something that's fully mine, and I know that it's not relying on someone else to exist, if that makes sense. Whether it's like my public relationships or friendships or whatever, I just want to branch off and be me for once. I think being alone is definitely super important. It kind of goes along with the starting over. For me, starting over was learning how to be okay being by myself, which was really, really, really difficult. Like, it was to the point where I wasn't able to even, like, go for coffee by myself. And now I prefer to, like, go out to lunch and eat by myself. And that doesn't mean that I'm sad or I don't have friends. This is, like, a decision that I'm making, that I'm like, hey, I love my friends. Everyone is great, but sometimes I just need to take a day for myself, because as much as I love just, like, relaxing and I'm hanging out with my friends, like, that is the best time ever. Like, Symonne needs a day to take care of her body and take care of herself as well. So whether that's treating myself or going to the gym by myself, like, I wasn't even driving by myself for a long time. This goes for anyone whether it's like going through a breakup or a friendship or like family stuff, like you're not going to be able to give someone 100% if you aren't giving yourself 100%, because then what are you pulling from? If you have 0% for yourself and you're trying to give someone 100%, like you're in the negatives right now. It's going to take twice as hard to even get to that 0 than back to that 100. You being by yourself and you being you is okay. You don't need someone else's validation. You just need to feel okay within yourself, and you'll know that you're on the right track. So as I mentioned, I started my journey when I was 11 years old, and now I'm turning 19. You know, it's been a little bit, but I wanted this to be something that we grow and evolve with together. If you've been following me since day one, first of all, I love you, and that means the absolute world. You don't go unseen. I notice every single one of you. If you're new or if you're somewhat new, you're part of the family now, and I'm sorry, but you're stuck with me whether you like it or not. So I'm really excited to just grow together, and it's so cool to like feel like my audience is basically my age, and it just feels like we're all having a big sleepover. Like you can put this on while you're getting ready, or like in the car if you're like taking your driver's test, like tell your driving instructor I said what's up. Like imagine just me on a podcast. We're on this journey together, we're learning together, we're growing together, we're going through new experiences together. You're not alone. Most likely I'm going through the same thing as you, and you don't even know it yet, but you will very soon, because the show exposes a lot about me. I'm excited to see where this goes, and it feels so surreal that I'm ending my first episode right now. Before we end this, I want to show you a little sneak peek of what's in store. Hi friends! Hi friends! Hey friends! I'm here with such an icon.
Hello, Miss Glozell. Is you okay? Is you good? Because I want to know.
Yeah!
Happy birthday!
This is so cute. Do you want to talk about it? Maybe later on this podcast. Why are we dating them? Party coffee. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode of the Friend Zone. First of many. I can't believe I just yapped for an hour straight. I honestly have more to say, but I'm going over the time limit. So I'm so excited to talk to you guys for 15 weeks straight. Make sure to tune in every Friday and listen wherever you can find podcasts, but you should also be watching on my YouTube. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. At the end of every single episode, I have a yearbook of me and all my guests that came on for season 1. So usually I take the yearbook photo of them, but I guess this is gonna have to be a selfie because I'm the only guest here.
If you had a yearbook quote, Symonne, since you ask everybody this question, what would your yearbook quote be if you had one?
Growing up, I always wanted to follow my dreams, and when me and my parents were talking, they're like, oh, well, if you do this audition, that'd be super cool. Or like, if we one day move to California, like, we'd love to do that for you. And I would sit there, like, 8 or 9 years old, and I was like, no. It's not if, it's when. When I do this, when I'm doing this, when we move to LA, when I get this audition, when I book this role, when I launch this podcast, it's gonna happen. So my official yearbook quote is, it's not if, it's when.